There's no word on a motive. Residents found the toppled trees on their sidewalks the next morning.
I don't know why someone would take away from the trees, especially in downtown where there's not a lot of opportunity for trees to grow.
Local arborist Stephanie Kerry.
It takes seconds with a chainsaw to erase decades of potential environmental benefit. So that is just extremely tragic.
Happy birthday, YouTube.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants.
The first video was uploaded 20 years ago today of the founders at the San Diego Zoo. Tech contributor Ian Scher.
YouTube is a cultural force unlike almost anything else. It has reach that is far larger than most of us can ever really imagine.
The Nasdaq's up 4%. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning. It's a Wednesday here on WGNS. Chip Walters from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. Glad to be with you this morning with our Wednesday show, and it is a beautiful morning outside. Of course, we've got sunshine and pollen, and I can tell by the back of my throat that it's pretty thick today with pollen, and Brian is here producing today. And Brian, last night, speaking of the Blue Raider Network, Dick Palmer with the call of Middle knocking off number 9 Vanderbilt last night in Nashville, 5-3, and tomorrow the team will head west for 3 games. It'll all be on the radio this weekend, starting 7 o'clock Friday night out at New Mexico State, and all within all that, a lot of high school action is going to be sprinkled in as well.
Yeah, Dick's going to where they have the dry heat.
The dry heat.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, out at New Mexico State this year, they've already had 2 games that had dust storm delays.
Oh, wow.
So,
jeez. Well, hopefully none of that this weekend, but we're going to head over to Blackman tonight. Blackman and Siegel will be playing in Game 2 of their 3-game series. And tomorrow, right now, we're just trying to play wait and see with the weather. I mean, some fields may be wetter than others, and turf lends itself to being able to play at a higher percentage.
That's right.
So maybe Oakland, Riverdale, or Eagleville as they play Summertown. One of those 2 games, maybe tomorrow if the weather holds out, but looks like about a 7 in 10 chance of rain tomorrow. So
but for the rest of the day, it looks okay.
Yeah, this afternoon maybe a little bit of rain, but looks like about a 40% chance this afternoon, 30 tonight. So hopefully we can squeeze it in. It's getting towards spring fling time, so you can tell you get afternoon showers, right?
That's right, exactly. All right, thank you, Brian. Yep. Today, glad to have Dr. Suzanne Granis with us. And Suzanne, if you could pull that up there closer or get yourself a little closer, welcome in. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Suzanne is she is the clinic director at Ellie Mental Health here in town. And so kind of tell us exactly what Ellie Mental Health is and tell us a little bit about your story of how you got into working in the mental health area. And you're here today because it is Stress Awareness Month.
That's correct. It is.
And all of us have some level of stress. Some of us deal with it a little better than others, and we're going to spend this hour talking about stress and how to handle it, what causes it, and how to deal with it.
Sure.
So,
absolutely.
Good deal.
Well, I actually have been at Ellie for going on a year and a half. I was originally the director at the Murfreesboro Clinic, and just most recently took a position of their director of clinical education. So that gives me the opportunity to not only work with the folks in Murfreesboro, but our other locations in Middle Tennessee that are in Clarksville, Brentwood, Smyrna, and West Nashville. So it's really nice to be able to work with all of those clinicians and help them with the things that they need. I got into mental health in a roundabout way, actually. I had been in academia for years, and when I moved to Tennessee, I went to work at a large hospital downtown, Nashville, and at one point my upline came to me and said, "Hey, we'd like to start a trauma program, and we'd like you to do it." And I went, "Well, what am I, a PhD, going to do starting a trauma program?" And they said, "Well, would you go back and go to school and get a degree in counseling?" And I, being an academician, I love school, so I went and got a degree in counseling, and as they say, the rest is history, and I ended up doing both academia and mental health.
Yeah, well, and as we dive into that, one of the things I learned about you just this morning is you grew up on the island of Bermuda.
I did.
And now here you all are, all landlocked and everything. What was that like? Was it as idyllic as any little boy or any little girl would think it would be growing up on an island?
I think growing up in Bermuda was a blessing. I really do. We were a tiny island, 21 square miles.
Wow.
That is little bitty. That's like going from, here to Antioch on a 1 mile stretch wide. So like traveling the island's about the size of I-24 wide, and you go to Antioch. So it's not very big. And anywhere I went, I had the ocean, which was lovely. And all my family was there. All my maternal side of my family was there and are still there. So
were you British citizens growing up?
I have a dual citizenship.
Okay.
My daddy was a guy from West Virginia, and there you go. He met my mom in Bermuda when he was stationed there, and there we go.
So that's a good story. And when did you decide, okay, I need to spread my wings, and when did you come to the mainland?
Well, I came to the States for the first time when I was like 5, and we came over on the QE2.
Oh, really?
And we docked, I believe, somewhere right there near New York, and I got off the ship and I went, oh my gosh, where did all these people come from? And I had cousins who lived there, and that was the first time I had been introduced to pizza. I had never heard of pizza in my life.
Wow.
And I had pizza for the first time. And then when I was 11, my daddy took a job in Southern California. And although I went over to Southern California and we still had beaches, it was major culture shock, let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure that, because the population density got really thick when you got out there.
It most certainly did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how did you end up here in Middle Tennessee?
Well, left California,
yeah,
moved to Oklahoma, where I lived for 17 years. My son was born there. And
there's probably not anything more different than Bermuda than Oklahoma.
Probably not. And yes, it's landlocked. It's a very large Native American culture.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very different. The things that we had in common in my upbringing was that it was all about having an extended family. Because I grew up with family all around, and the Native American culture is very much that way as well. So I did run into that a lot in Oklahoma. But over time, I ended up working at a university in Missouri, and then my husband took a job here in Tennessee, and I came here.
So, and we're glad to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
When you decided, you talked about going back to school and getting into counseling and things like that, which leads us into our topic today, which is stress awareness and what is stress, causes of stress, how to deal with it, all of that. Do you find that there is a need for your services and your counseling more today than ever before?
What I know is that almost every human being alive has some kind of dealing with mental health issues, be it a little bit of stress or anxiety today, or maybe they start feeling down because something happens. And I'm seeing more and more, and I think that for me, when I look at it, I think it's because we become so involved in our own individual lives, especially as smaller families, nuclear families. We don't have that extended family and friend network to go to as much as we used to, and we're doing on our phones all the time.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, I remember when bag phones came out, so that tells you how old I am. But
yeah, exactly. So because everybody has some level in some way.
Yes.
So when you talk about stress, how do you define that, and what is the difference between an annoyance and stress, I guess?
Well, annoyances actually are part of stress sometimes. Stress is something that is part of the human animal. In fact, stress is something that all animals have. If we didn't have stress, we would never be challenged to solve problems. We'd never be motivated to get up off the couch. So stress is really kind of something that helps us be motivated. It helps us survive. I think about animals a lot and how we are similar to them in that with stress, if the little fawn goes down to the lake to get a drink of water, say the gazelle goes down to the water to get a drink, and a crocodile comes up, what happens? They go, oh my God, the crocodile's going to eat me, and that's stress.
Yes, it
and
is.
They run away, right?
Right.
And those are the kinds of things that happen with us. We get challenged. It might be some tiny little challenge, like I run out of time, I'm running late. It may be a catastrophe like we've had here in the state of Tennessee of late. With tornadoes and flooding and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, and in my world of real estate, we talk about a lot of times where do our clients come from, and they come from a lot of times the 3 Ds. Would be death, diapers, and divorce, and a lot of that, those things all of those are stress-related items that can be within your life, and some of them are good things, obviously, and others are things that bug you. But any kind of major life change, positive or negative, can cause stress.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime we have major catastrophes or major life changes or daily life hassles even,
right.
It causes stress. We get motivated to change things. We have things that come up and we have to deal with it, and we're running out of time. Those things all cause stress. Stress is a natural thing, though.
Yeah.
And it's good for us in some ways because it motivates us. If we have chronic stress, that stress that we constantly are under, those things can cause us to have major health issues.
Yeah, there's a certain level that keeps you sharp.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but a lot of people stress, we talk about, in particular, a lot of the divorce stress stuff that's out there. So much of it comes back to financial issues.
Yes.
And that is, whether you're single, married, divorced, doesn't matter. Financial worries are going to come into your life one way or the other, and that do you find that when you peel back the layers of the onion and somebody's having stress-related issues, that a lot of it comes back to financial issues?
I find that a lot of it comes back to financial issues. They'll get a divorce, and I don't know where my money's coming from now because we're no longer a two-income family. I'm by myself. Or now I have to worry about the children and how am I going to pay for this and this. Yes, I might get child support, but what am I going to do here? I have to now move because I can't keep the home I was in. I can't afford the mortgage. So what do? I'd like to be in my own home, but I can't be because I can't afford a down payment. And then I worry about being able to get a loan for a mortgage or whatever the case may be. And then I go, oh, I'm going to have to live in a rental. And that might be an apartment. And that's a whole different kind of living than you're used to in a single family home. So there's that kind of stuff. There's also stress of, well, I used to get my nails done and now I can't get my nails done because I don't have money. And I know that's a silly thing to some people, but that's something that you have to think about.
Yeah, you do. And also, and you talked about, just things about how you have to end up changing your lifestyle because, well, we used to go out to eat all the time. Now, it's, I'm going to need to cook more. And
I need to cook more. And then what do I cook? And how do I make sure that I've got nutritious meals for myself or nutritious meals for my family with whom I'm currently living, my kids or whatever? And how do I do that? And I don't know if you've been to the grocery lately, but prices are up a bit.
they are. And, and especially you ride the wave, you get to a certain age and, here I am in my early 60s. And for the first time in my life, really, I'm thinking about, matter of fact, I went and met with my financial guy the other day who handles my retirement account. And I said, I'm not ready right now, but, it's, I can see it coming over the horizon within a few years. And then literally within a day or two of having that conversation, all of a sudden the bottom falls out of the stock market. And it's like, okay, I'm going to have to work till 5 years after I pass away, to get to my retirement. But those are all kind of issues that come up. We're going to be talking about more of those and how you handle them. As Suzanne Granis with Ellie Mental Health is with us today on the Roundtable. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to text it in. And you can do it all anonymously, of course, at 615-893-1450 here at WGNS. Break time. Back after this as you listen to the Roundtable on the Big G, WGNS.
Do you love WGNS Radio? Well, now you can watch it too. WGNS Big G TV brings your favorite radio shows live and on demand. From breaking news and community talk to Rutherford County's top local sports. We've got it all right at your fingertips. Watch anytime, anywhere. WGNS Big G TV, where radio comes to life.
To be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live, too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
You feel great at Adams Place.
Melanie teaches all of our exercise classes. I do the stretch and balance.
Alan Butcher.
Avis is our water aerobics instructor. It's really helped me to overcome some of my arthritis pain, and it's just a wonderful thing that we have here.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111.
Adams Place on Memorial across from Walmart.
Former CIA officer Jason Hansen here. As someone who's dedicated my life to protecting people, I know the importance of guarding what matters most. Right now, with global instability and the dollar's declining value, that means securing your financial assets with gold. For me, I trust Advantage Gold with my own investments. Give them a call at 800-900-8000 for a 100% free gold guide. Again, call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 today.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the law offices of John Day. I've lived and worked as a lawyer in Middle Tennessee for over 30 years, and to me, every single day has been an honor. That's why our firm is so involved with community programs like bicycle helmet giveaways and our Safe Ride Home program. At the law offices of John Day, we're not just looking to make donations. We want to make a difference in the community we hold so dear. And if you're ever injured, know that we are here for you too.
WGNS encourages you to shop local.
That helps our economy.
The Red Cross is still critically low on blood. Please give the gift of life. Phone the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Just about time for the farmers market to begin. Rutherford County's Producers Only Market gets underway on Friday, May the 9th, and continues through October the 31st. That's over at the Lane Agri Park, 315 John R. Rice Boulevard. We remember you. It's a support group for caregivers of dementia and Alzheimer's. And We Remember You meets on the second Tuesday afternoons of each month at 4 o'clock over at the Villages of Murfreesboro. And again, this is for the caregivers of persons with Alzheimer's and dementia. The Middle Tennessee American Muscle Car Show is coming up Saturday, May the 10th at the VA Hospital, and the show benefits veterans. Oh, and the Heart Walk is May the 17th at Gateway Island. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here this afternoon with a blend of clouds and sunshine developing, a high in the low 80s. Tonight, slight chance for storms, a low near 61. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 7.
Rutherford County's 24th annual Earth Day celebration is Saturday, April 26th, 10 to 2 on the Murfreesboro Square. Middle Tennessee Electric is proud to be the primary sponsor and organizer. Free fun for the whole family, April 26th on the Square. RCEarthDay.com for more info.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back in. We're talking about stress today. It is Stress Awareness Month, and Suzanne Granis of Ellie Mental Health is here. And we got into some things, the causes of stress, and we talked about major life changes, financial, then the other biggies that go along with that, workplace challenges, your personal health, internal factors, relationships, everyday hassles, traffic, whatever, all of those can cause stress.
Every last one of those causes stress, and probably the biggies are financial stress, relationship issues. I see a lot of that in what I do, obviously, for a living. And probably the other thing really is workplace issues. People are in the workplace as much as they are at home, maybe even more so. And
especially in waking hours, when you think about it.
Exactly. You go home, you have dinner and watch a little TV, and then you're going off to bed. So even though you're home, you're not necessarily interacting with everybody who's at your house. So you actually spend probably more waking hours with your work colleagues, and work can be a major source of stress for people, whether it be you have a colleague with whom you're having difficulty. It could be something along the lines of, hey, my boss said to me, hey, I have this project for you and I want you to get it done. And you go, okay. And then you find out they want the project done tomorrow. And you're going, oh my gosh, you didn't say tomorrow. And so your stress level goes up. And then probably the other thing is, as I said, relationship issues. They can be very stressful.
Yeah.
Gets back to your diapers and, divorce and all of that.
Yeah, death, diapers, and divorce.
There you
exactly.
go.
How do you determine or difference between stress and anxiety? And because I know we all feel some level of that, and certain situations give me little levels of anxiety as well, but I don't know if it's necessarily stress, but it still has an effect.
Stress actually is part of anxiety.
Right.
Anxiety is when we're going, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if? If we keep asking ourselves that question, we're in anxiety. Anxiety is a diagnosis that we actually will give to people. They'll have generalized anxiety disorder. Stress is a lot of times more in what we'll see with people who have what is known as adjustment disorder. Something has happened. They're feeling stress about it. They have anxiety about it, but it doesn't last as long.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so obviously, I don't know that in this world at this time that we're gonna get rid of all the stress out of our lives, whatever.
Can I say no?
Yeah, right. And it'd be nice to, it sometimes it gets pretty low if you're sitting on the beach on the Gulf Coast watching the waves come in, but we don't get to do that every day. So when you talk about ways to reduce stress, kind of so here's where folks need to be. You've been listening in here for the first 30 minutes and said, aha, that's me. I heard some of that. So now we're going to kind of work in this last half hour talking about ways to start to reduce stress and get some of it out of your life, or at least manage it.
Sure. There are several ways that we can reduce stress. We can do lifestyle changes. We can engage in things that are relaxation techniques. We can get support from other people. And we can even challenge the negative thoughts that come into our minds.
Yeah. Okay. Let's kind of dive into some of those just a little bit. Lifestyle changes.
Okay.
Let's get into that area before we take our next break and work through that.
Sure.
And because everybody's on the go.
Everybody's on the go, and if you go to your PCP and you're going to have your annual physical, which we should all do. What is one of the things mostly that your doctor will talk to you about? Have you been exercising?
Correct.
Are you eating healthy? Are you getting fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and all of that? And hey, are you staying away from processed foods, caffeine, alcohol, sugar, right? I don't know about you, but my doctor has this conversation with me annually. And then there's always, and how much sleep are you getting?
Right.
The average adult should get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night to have adequate sleep. You have to go through those sleep cycles. You actually have to go through those REM cycles. So lots of people today are going over to sleep centers and having, sleep studies done and finding out, oh, I'm not getting adequate sleep. That can cause stress.
Oh, and well, and I, because I went through that and had a sleep study done, and I was a horrible snorer, And I thought, oh, I snore, you know, and
Big deal.
but it was much more than that. It was apnea, and now I don't even take a nap without my CPAP machine. So, and I know there are folks out there listening that use them, and some folks dread having to get used to them, but it was like the best thing that ever happened to me for my health.
Yes, because now your body is actually relaxing.
Right.
Your body's able to go through all the sleep stages, and it attenuates or lowers, if you will, reduces your stress.
Yep. And but 7 to 9 hours is what
7 to 9 hours. I'm the queen of 7 to 9 hours.
You make sure that happens, right?
I make sure that happens.
And as far as exercise, you know, we have, you know, all kinds of opportunities out there now. You know, there's all kinds of gyms that are open and all of that. But just getting on your feet and walking 20 minutes.
Walk around, and the best place to walk around, if it's not bad weather, is outside, because
Correct.
then you're not only walking around, but you're also getting fresh air, which is good for stress.
The fresh air is.
Yes, the fresh air. Be outside. Be in nature. Look at the birds. Listen to the birds. Whatever. It's all great to take you out of this compressed thing that we're in the workforce every day.
Yep. And I would agree, because I've got several routes around town and that I like to go and see, you know, I like to switch it up a little bit, you know, and I like to go to the battlefield, or I'll walk around campus or downtown Murfreesboro, different areas, things like that. I like to get that in. When you talk about things that you eat and you know, and here I am on my second big cup of coffee.
And that's a big cup.
That's a big, and I go through about 2 of those every morning, but you know, and I guess everybody processes different.
Yeah, our bodies process different things differently.
Like, you know, I know some people who could take one sip of coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and said, "Oh, well, I won't go to sleep all night." Well, it doesn't. I don't feel wired, or I don't feel, you know, buzzed or anything from the that I do drink a lot of coffee, but I drink it in the morning and get it, you know, out of my system, I guess, or at least that's how I rationalize it. So what does caffeine, whether it's coffee, soft drinks,
tea,
energy drinks,
yes,
in particular, those high in caffeine and sugar, how do they affect your stress levels?
Well, they actually can lead to you feeling more stress, because what they're doing is they are winding up your nervous system. They're increasing your blood pressure. They're increasing your heart rate, because it's a stimulant. So our bodies become very used to those stimulants, though. Stimulants can be addictive.
Right.
Every once in a while, I will have to go off of, I'm a big tea drinker coming from the island. And every once in a while, I have to pull off of tea, because I go, oh, I'm now drinking tea at a rate of, oh my gosh, everything I put in my body is nothing but tea. And so I choose to go off tea, and what happens to me? I have what I call withdrawal symptoms.
Okay.
I get angry.
The DTs.
I get, oh my goodness, I get irritable. I'm
That's
irritable
right.
as all get out. And inevitably, I'll get a really horrible headache, because I'm not getting that caffeine anymore.
Yeah, I you know, if I know I'll set my coffee pot at night, you know, and it's ready to go in the morning, and if for some reason I forget to do that, then if I don't have my coffee, then that gives me stress.
There you go, because your body's going, hey,
exactly.
I want caffeine.
Exactly. Well, and here's the other big elephant in the room, and I am guilty as charged, and it embarrasses me when I see it come up on my phone of how much screen time I've had that week. How much have I been on my device? Talk about why that's an issue, and what within within your device, your phone is making life stressful for you.
Well, if you think about it, you're on your phone and you get into all these apps, or whether they be game apps, or you get on Google and you start Googling what's happening in the world, and then all this stuff is fed to you. And a lot of the stuff that's fed to us through our screens is pretty negative. And it's really helpful if we could, look at the positive things in life every once in a while. And so we get pulled into all of these negative things. There's a war here. There's this horrible, the weather is going to be horrible, and you start worrying about the weather and what am I going to do here? And the stock market just had a big plunge, and now my stock is not worth what it used to be, and oh my gosh, what's that going to do to my retirement? And we spend all this time on our screens and getting fed all of this negativity.
Well, and the thing is, we all get sucked in on social media type things, and the thing is, the algorithms are built to basically, when you read one thing, it's going to lead to more of those
kinds of things. You're going to get fed those things.
You get fed those things, and a lot of it in the current world we live in, where things can be so divisive, and people use that to attack. Well, that causes stress levels to go up.
That causes stress levels to go up, and not only that, we get what we know is to be fake news. Oh my gosh. So now we have another whole thing to worry about. Well, is what I'm reading true? Is it not true? How do I know? And, it's really difficult for people. And if we're on our phones late at night, what does that do to us?
Yeah.
We're stirred up before we're even trying to go to sleep.
And you don't get your 7 to 9 hours.
You don't get your 7 to 9 hours.
Before we take our next break, and we're going to talk in the next segment about other techniques, the relaxation techniques, things like that. But how do people, sometimes, we go, life is just life, but how do we recognize that we are having some stress-related issues?
Well, I think you recognize it by what your body, how your body responds.
Sometimes we're more aware of other people than we are of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're starting to get lots of headaches, or you're getting your tummy's upset a lot, or you're getting snappy with people, you find yourself being short-tempered or whatever, or those kinds of things, if you'll just pay attention, your body and your behavior will tell you whether or not you're stressed.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on yourself.
Yes.
and all of that. Before we, again, we got a break coming up, but if people, when should they know, again, it comes back to awareness, when should they know it's time for me to go talk to somebody? Or and when can professional help be something that would be helpful to me?
If I find myself constantly thinking about the same thing, that's called ruminating. If I find myself constantly worrying and in a state of, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, what if I just recycle the same thought over and over and over again, you probably need to go talk to somebody. If you find yourself so stressed that, hey, now I don't want to do my life, I just want to stay home in a little cocoon and not even get outside anymore, you probably need to go talk to somebody. If you find yourself having anger management issues, the dog walks in and has mud on his feet and you go ballistic,
you lose it. Yeah.
Then you probably need to be talking to someone.
When somebody cuts you off in traffic.
And you have road rage.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And we see.
Who ever heard of road rage 20 years ago?
I know, exactly. Well, you hear about it every 20 minutes now instead of every 20 years. Suzanne Grannis is with us today from Ellie Mental Health. We're going to be talking about stress awareness and stress in your life and how to get rid of it, how to manage it. And we'll be back with our final segment right after this here on WGNS.
Turner Security, we bring cutting-edge protection with live video monitoring, access control entry, advanced camera systems, and intermedia IP phones, all designed to keep your business safe and connected. From small businesses to large enterprises, our expert team ensures seamless integration and around-the-clock monitoring, because security isn't just a service, it's our mission. Turner Security, powered by TechCore.
Gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
First Shot, growing in Christ with life and athletic skills.
So we teach God's Word at everything we do to implant it in them so that they understand that the only way to get through the world is with God on their side.
First Shot founder and executive director Andy Herzer.
Our focus is on our inner city here at Patterson Park.
From academics to athletics, First Shot's focus is toward building a stronger, more courageous spirit to face opportunities and obstacles that our youth confront every day. To find out more about First Shot, go to firstshottn.org.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
Middle Point Landfill's Mike Klassen.
The next closest landfill for Middle Point right now is down in Lewisburg. MTSU study estimated that's about $90 per ton of waste to get it there.
If we have to take our trash up the creek, that's a lot of travel without a paddle.
Only people that are going to be responsible for those costs are taxpayers.
The cost to take out the trash will trickle down to local residents and businesses.
You double the distance, you double the cost.
There's got to be a better way. The answer's here. That's Middle Point Landfill.
If you're not waking up to the Wake Up Crew, here's what you've been missing.
News, traffic, weather, and fun.
Don't miss the Wake Up Crew with John, Brian, and Dalton.
News, traffic, weather, and fun?
Weekday mornings from 6 until Swap and Shop. This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable in the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, and those watching on Big G TV. Glad to have you along with us as well. And Suzanne Granis of LE Mental Health is here, and spent our first half hour talking about causes of stress, because April is Stress Awareness Month, and I'm glad to have her here. We talked about things you can do. We talked about lifestyle changes, getting enough sleep, making sure you eat the right things, your environment, getting outside, getting some fresh air. Let's talk about other relaxation techniques, things you can do. I'm a Seinfeld watcher, so I think Serenity Now, and what can I do to get some serenity into my daily life?
Oh, there you go. Well, there's a lot of things that you can do, even if you're in the middle of Target or Walmart and you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. There's a lot of things you can do. One of the things that we can all do is breathing. We can do some deep breathing techniques.
Okay, give us some basic deep breathing techniques that people may be, whether they're sitting at their desk at work or whatever right now, can thinking, here's something I can do in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, shoot, you can do it very, very quickly. You can do some deep breathing techniques in less than a minute, and you're done, and you feel better.
It kind of recycles you a little bit.
Yes, it really does. Like, one of the things you can do is just take a real deep cleansing breath, and then let it out. And then what you'll do is you will inhale through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do that 6 times, it takes less than a minute, and it will be amazing to you how much better you will feel.
Just in that amount of time?
That amount of time.
Why is that?
It's because it's getting all that carbon dioxide out of your body. You're pulling in, you're paying attention to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're pulling in enough oxygen. And what you're doing is you're actually shutting off your brain for a minute from, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, to I've got to count in through my nose, think out through my mouth. So you disengage your brain from the stress.
You're consciously focusing on this, which helps shut out whatever else is bugging you, and you can do that in less than a minute.
It's amazing.
You talked about going to your PC. That's the technique I use before she takes my blood pressure. So when I go in there,
does it work?
Sometimes it does, actually. But muscle relaxation.
Muscle relaxation.
Yes.
Yeah. Muscle relaxation is kind of like, have you ever 10-step your muscles where you just kind of squeeze your muscles really tight?
Is that like isotonic?
It's like isotonic.
Okay.
And so then you squeeze them really tight and then you let them go. Your body feels better. And it's still, you're disengaging your brain from, hey, all this stuff is happening. I'm going to pay attention to doing my muscles really tight and letting them go.
So arms, legs,
whatever makes you.
So this is a good.
You can do it in your chair.
That's what I was going to say. This is a good chair exercise.
This is a great chair exercise.
When you're sitting at your desk or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. Now, something that's a little more involved is yoga. Because I can, the flexibility and stuff, the older we get, the less flexible we are. Mm-hmm. And you see, and I've got some friends of mine who, even guys who are, they have shed their masculinity and they go to yoga classes now. So, they say it's terrific. But
it is terrific.
I mean, this is something that you have to schedule and take some time with. But obviously, I'm assuming that that gets you in the right frame of mind by doing something physical like that.
A lot of these yoga poses out there are made to stretch your muscles, to elongate your muscles. When you become stressed, your muscles actually contract. So if you ever get like a neck ache or a back ache and you're going, what is this? Could be that your muscles have contracted, they're stressed out, and when they're contracted, they become really heated. You can feel the heat in the muscle. Yoga elongates your muscles and makes your body feel like it's open to blood flow and all of that. The other thing that yoga does that's very much similar to breathing techniques is there's a lot of breathing techniques in yoga where you're mindfully doing a certain pose and you're doing certain breathing techniques. Yoga is great.
And it's very low impact.
You're not gonna,
right.
I don't know why you would injure yourself in yoga unless you're brand new and you don't pay attention to your instructor.
And I'm talking, and they're, all of our ladies out there, they understand all this. I'm talking to my guys now. Here's where you go to YouTube, find yourself a beginning yoga video.
Yes.
And you can do it in the privacy of your own house and find out, okay, this does work for me.
Yes.
Now here's another area. I love the idea of meditation, but I need some ground rules of and techniques of. Okay, I think, if I'm going to meditate, what does that mean? Am I just trying to shut my brain off, or is there a pattern of things that I need to be working myself through during whether it's a 5-minute or a 10-minute or a 30-minute meditation process?
You talked about YouTube. There are guided meditations that
Okay.
people can find on YouTube,
Okay.
and they can, guide you through, hey, kind of guided imagery kind of stuff. Hey, imagine you're on a beach, and you imagine I'm sitting there and listening to the waves and all of these kinds of things. Meditation can be listening to sounds like white noise or sounds of nature. At the clinic, we have sound machines that we have outside of each office, so that we try and not hear what's going on in the office. And some of them are, you can hear frogs in the trees,
The babbling brook,
the ocean waves, and those things are fabulous, because if you can just kind of sit there and let those sounds and meditate on those sounds, and listen to those sounds,
and not necessarily listening to either music or a podcast, because it's something you don't have to follow along with.
That's exactly right. You can just let your mind be aware of what those sounds are.
Yeah.
It's very, very soothing.
Yeah, and again, a lot of this, when we're talking about stress and managing your stress, is trying to get into get the negativity out and get the positivity in. Yes. And anybody who's listening that has gone through any sort of sales training somewhere along the way, you typically have had a sales trainer in whatever it may be talk to you about gratitudes, affirmations, things like that. And again, that is a dedicated. And I've used, with one set of sales training I did, affirmations is a big part of that. And to sit down and I keep a notebook on my desk that is my affirmation notebook, and I'll pick out an affirmation that is, I'll pick a one sentence, one that I can write in one line on a notebook, and come up with something like that, and write out a full page. So it's 25, 30 times, and do that same one all week. And then the next week, go to something different. Talk about how gratitudes and affirmations can affect you and get you in a more positive state of mind and less stressful state of mind.
Yeah, well, as we talked about earlier, thinking about negative things coming into our minds can cause us stress, can cause us to feel anxious, what's going on in the world. And if we could start paying attention to, hey, I have a fabulous family, or I am so fortunate and so blessed that I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I'm not in some war-torn area of the world. Those kinds of things, if we can start thinking about the positive things in our life, it really does help us get rid of our stress, because we're having a mindset change. And I can remember as a little girl, my mother used to sing a song, and I don't know anything about this song, but my mother would go around singing some song about accentuating the positive and eliminating the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. I used to remember that she would talk about those things. And really, if we could do that, if we could figure out a way to get those negative things out of our minds and stop feeding ourselves toxicity, we're going to be better off.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying,
to clear your head. Yeah.
Woo.
I mean, you're not living in Pollyanna or anything like that, but once you get past that, what about whether it's social support, networking groups, things like that? To me, one of the things that used to be helpful to me when I would go to professional conferences, things like that, was not necessarily sometimes. It was not necessarily what I learned from going to that conference. It was more like, God, other people have the same issues I have.
That's good to know.
And it was like, I thought, am I the idiot here or whatever? But to go find that other people have the same issues, the same challenges, things like that. that helped lower my stress level about my job at the time.
That's one of the good things that if we can realize that as human beings, we're social animals. We actually do need social connection, whatever that is, whether it be talking on the phone, and I'm a big person on pick up the phone and call somebody, don't just text them, because then they hear your voice, and there's something about hearing your voice that's helpful. So I'm a big talker. As my husband says, I don't shut up, but you know, that's probably true. But yes, social connection, knowing that you're not alone in the fight. You're not alone in this, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this report that I'm supposed to do. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that other people were having trouble going and talking to people about buying XYZ. That is helpful, and then I can learn from them. Well, you had this struggle and you've overcome it. What did you do? Maybe I can learn from them. So there's a bit of transparency there. There's a bit of laying yourself out and letting people see who you are.
Right, and for guys, it's the guys are worse about it than women, I think.
I would say women are more willing to be vulnerable.
Okay, what's your message to guys?
Guys, you know, it's 2025. That's what I'm going to say. And we're all, men, women, children, are all dealing with these issues. And it's time to show that, hey, manly men do yoga. Manly men seek help from their friends. How many times do guys go talk to their friends about issues? And when they do, they come away going, hey, that was helpful because I realized that he's going through the same thing I did.
That's right.
So do that.
Yep. And let's talk about your the services at Ellie real quick before we wrap up, and talk about the things that you guys offer, and if people feel they'd like to learn more, how do they go about that?
Well, at Ellie, we have individual therapy. We have therapy for people all the way from the ages of 3 to 200. If you know, are 200 years old, we'll see you there. We also do couples therapy. We do a lot of couples therapy, and we do a lot of therapy for families that are going through changes, the divorce kind of thing.
Right.
So we may see this therapist sees mom, this therapist sees dad, this therapist sees mom and dad, this therapist sees, this child, this one sees this child. So we have therapists who see all ages and do all kinds of things. We see all different mental health issues, from anxiety to depression to PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. We have a lot of veterans. And we're open from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, Monday through Saturday. And if you need telehealth, we'll do that. My earliest clients come at 6:45 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm an early girl. But I have people who are at our clinic who see people as late as 8 or 9 at night.
Yeah.
Or they do telehealth, and we can do telehealth for people all over the state of Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
And we take insurance.
There you go. All right. The website is Ellie, E-L-L-I-E, Ellie, just like the girl's name, elliementalhealth.com. And Suzanne Granis is the clinic director. She has been with us for the past hour. Now, folks, take your deep breaths. Breathe in, count to 4. Breathe out. Breathe in your nose, out your mouth, count to 4. Do it 6 times in the next minute, and be a little more stress-free.
There you go.
How about that? Suzanne, thanks so much for coming by. I learned a lot today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good deal. If you missed any of this or would like to hear it again, you can find it on the podcast section of wgnsradio.com. Coming up next week, Joey P. from Murfreesboro Medical Clinic will be here. We'll be celebrating 75 years of MMC in our community, and Joey has not been there all of those 75 years, but we'll talk about the pride of Kittrell and talk to him next week right here. Brian Baird's coming up next, so stick with it right here on the Big G, WGNS.